Hello and welcome to Tribal Research Specialists, the podcast, where we will be talking about important things. That's not going to work either. Hello and welcome to Tribal Research Specialists, the podcast, a podcast dedicated to chatting about... Hello and welcome to... I'm going to stop.
Sing this one at War Dance Championships.
What?
Sing it at War Dance Championships.
Reservation-wide War Dance Championships. It stops at the border.
From Evro to Dayton.
Evro to Dayton. If you're beyond that, well, you're out of luck. Yeah. You live in, you happen to live in, by the Y, you're not in the money. You're not in the money.
From Dog Lake to Mission Dam.
Yeah. If you happen to get a good job in Plains, and yeah, you're not in the money. You're not in the money. Now maybe you had an old homestead over in the Swan. You ain't in the money.
We're talking about Thanksgiving.
All right, tell us about this song, man. What is it? What is this? What are we listening to?
That song was recorded by a guy named John Wilson Jr. in the 1960s in the Reno district of Montana. Crow Agency.
Crow Agency.
And the guy singing is the guy's drum group. I don't know the name of it was Warren Bear Cloud. Warren Bear Cloud.
Yeah. Is that all? You still there?
Yeah. Did you not hear me? Hear me.
No, I cut out.
You cut out, then you started yelling at us.
I know.
Not cool, bud.
That's what I said. I cut out. Okay. So Warren Bear Cloud, yeah.
Warren Bear Cloud. The song was recorded by John Wilson Sr., who was my grandma's brother.
Oh, really?
And the story goes is that it was the 60s and he bought a reel-to-reel recorder and basically went ape shit with it, you know? So my grandma says they would all kind of get load up in the car and they'd go visiting.
Yeah.
They go visit people and
yeah,
he would like get out his reel-to-reel and he'd want to record them. So she gave me a bunch of reel-to-reel reels and this song is on one of them.
Yeah.
And the funny part is like some of it is like cool. Like there was this old man named Awagosh was telling stories.
Yeah.
Then on the next reel-to-reel, it's like he recorded the living room. So it's just like kids playing. Yeah, kids playing. But I found that song on there and it was kind of cool because my grandma gave me these reel-to-reels and Roy Big Crane put them on disc for me.
On a disc. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I played them for her, it was kind of emotional actually because there's recordings of my grandpa on them too. My grandpa playing guitar.
Oh.
So her husband, my grandpa Ben.
Yeah.
And so she kind of was like, and she could remember, like she's like, man, music has it's like it's attached to stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like once she heard the song, man, she could jump right in there and tell me like we were at this place at this time and this is what we were doing and this is what time of the year it was. She couldn't give me like dates like she couldn't, but she knew because they called him Beeps. He passed away, my grandma's brother, in the 70s. So she knew at least like she's like, I remember when he bought the reel to reel and he wanted to go to every dance. He wanted to talk to all these people. And so that's what that song came from. And it's just, people would call it a powwow song now, but Crows call them hot dance songs.
Hot dance.
Yeah, Badwe Lesua.
The
hot dance.
I was remembering a conversation we had. I can't remember when it was, but it was like you're given the it was like a broken crow lesson. Like you could say something in English and then you say this little crow thing at the end of it, and it sounds like you know crow. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Kind of like we're talking about kind of the filler words, or like adding the sh. So one of them is kagon, and
like there's a bunch of
say they'll just speak English, but then they'll say like and then kagon we went to Walmart, and then and they just say like little words like egg.
Yeah,
egg.
Warren Buttercloud, egg.
Warren sang that good song, and then Kagon, everybody danced, you know. If people think you speak crow, you know.
Yeah, these little filler words, I was thinking about that when I said his name. I was like, oh yeah, what was that word he was saying? Could just throw in there, sprinkle in there.
I mean, there's like Kagon, and then there's egg, hina, or hem.
Yeah.
And
on these reel to reels.
Coach.
Oh yeah. Well, keep it going, man.
No, I just say.
Keep it going.
I'm trying to plug in my computer here.
There's more.
Go ahead, go.
Oh. Well, anyway, so that's these other reel to reels I have. There's one I think that's just all like recording from the radio. You know, it's just a whole reel of just somebody recording the radio.
Hey, I have
some songs. You know,
the same thing with those with that reel to reel. There's just like country songs. Yeah. So like Ernest Tubb and Hank Snow and you know Donnie Williams and those kind of guys, George Jones. Like it's like he just recorded the radio, you know.
Yeah, just hit record and did your business. Yeah, that's interesting. And that gets to get preserved in that way, even if it's just a little seemingly nothing, but to someone it's very meaningful, you know. And
and one of the things that makes it meaningful is time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like time is what made that thing important, because like even those living room sounds, when you can just hear kids playing, and my grandma was like identifying the kids.
Oh,
really?
Like,
oh, that's so and so. Yeah, because it's like my mom and them, you know.
Yeah.
And
so this is. Oh yeah, cool. Keep going, man. I keep interrupting you. You get on a roll.
I'll just say, the only thing the reason it's important is because of time. That's it. That's
all right. No, that's good. That's good because it's what's important about that, and in relation to what I want to talk about today is this idea of guarding material, guarding things that are important, that might be I guess some might say in a way that I guess if you're living outside of a community, you're not in the community, living and breathing and joining in the pursuits of that community, one might say that there is secret knowledge, that there's some ideas, some data, information that's secret, that's not available to outsiders. And I don't know if that's true or not. I think there's some information that's inaccessible, but is there some information that is, I guess, purposefully kept and held or guarded in some way so that no one can access it except for certain people who meet a certain criteria. So like this reel of this song that you shared with us, you could have decided, well, no, these are my treasures. I don't want no one else to know this song. Maybe everybody forgot it. I want to be the one to just know it. And I want to keep it for myself. And I'll only share it with certain people who meet a certain criteria that I feel, I guess you could say the criteria might be a worth, or I guess have a some particularity about them. Is that a word? Particularity? It just came out. Particularity.
Singularity.
I don't think it's a
singularity.
word. I don't know what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you shared freely this thing that you got, and you don't mind, but there's people that I think do mind. And I think they think things should be kept a secret. And therefore outsiders believe in a way that there are bodies of knowledge that are held in secret. What's your thoughts?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts, really.
Well, just give me one then. I mean, start with one.
So, if you act first, you have to attach ownership to something. Then, in order for you to inhibit somebody else from learning it,
right?
So, like for example, like I don't own that song,
right?
And I can neither decide if it's for someone or not for someone. I can't do either.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I mean, in order for me to say like those people shouldn't know, they can't know this stuff, like that's only acting on the assumption that I have power or say in what they can and can't know and how they can and can't use something.
Right.
And I don't now. I guess maybe to a point. I don't know. That's a hard one because for one, I don't know if I know anything that has value.
Everything I know, everybody already knows. So yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
I would have to know something like that other people don't know, and that I don't know anything that other people don't know.
That's what you think, though. Well, that does. That's what you think, though. So this is what I got then. I guess so. Salisha's with us here today, and this relates very strongly with her the things that she knows, because you see this happen not only with I guess songs, with the cultural knowledge, but I guess I mean also with like designs. So some artists and some bead workers are hesitant to share their designs or their beadwork because they're afraid someone will steal those designs and pot them off as their own. So therefore, that design or that style of beading, I guess, could be kept and held in secret.
So why bead then?
Well, then that's the question I want to ask Salisha: is how do we bridge that? Because you've made it clear that, okay, there's this song, I come across it, I don't own it, but I think it's different when you're talking about someone who's creating something that's coming from their imagination or their however they come up with.
Let's just assume Warren Bearcloud made that song.
Okay, let's assume that. Yes.
The venue in which he sang the song, which is a social dance, now puts it in the realm of up for grabs. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's there. Had he not wanted us to hear the song with the assumption that it could be recorded, it could be sung by a different group, it could be sung by other people, or
Yeah.
hummed in a car, right?
Yeah.
Why would he even sing it?
Yeah. I agree with you. I know I agree with you, but I'm curious because I know this is a phenomenon in the art world of copying. Well, you see it in other things too. I mean, you hear a song and you kind of scoff at it. Oh, that sounds like so and so's song. They just made the ending a little different, and you're kind of like,
actually,
that's
where this discussion could go is actually to like stand-up comedy.
Well, yeah,
and like
you're right.
like the idea of joke stealing, and the
Yeah.
idea of bits and something that's created in the mind that can be purchased and transferred. It's weird, like the whole stand-up world. They buy and sell jokes, so they might be this subculture of people that understands Indians too, because we could say, well, I purchased that song from so and so,
right?
I purchased this. I seen this person getting this design, and I asked if I could have it, and they said, "Well, yeah, go ahead." So I gave them this.
Yeah,
like this idea that something creative or something that comes from the mind can be purchased. Comedians talk about it with jokes. They'll say, "I like that premise," or "I like that joke," and they'll buy it. They'll actually write a check, or they'll give some money for the joke. I always think it's fascinating because that's appropriate.
I mean, I suppose, in a way, because I think it implies, like you said, an ownership. Like there's a thought, a person thought it up, I guess, or made a connection with something that's funny in a way. But let's talk about like color combinations. There was something going on where somebody was trying to claim these color combinations are mine. You can't use those. I mean,
no.
I want to hear Salisha's take on this.
Okay, Salisha, go ahead. I'm gonna shut up.
No, I don't want you to shut up. I want you to be quiet. No.
That's ridiculous.
No, this happens though. This happens. You've mentioned it happens with songs. It happens. Somebody sings someone's song, they get mad and they go over and throw a wad of money on it, on the drum reluctantly. Because they say, "Well, I never told them they could sing that." But then it's down to this thing of ownership, like you said. You sang it on a CD and you sold 300 copies of it at the last powwow. I mean, what do you expect in a way? I don't know. It's weird. So what is it in the art spectrum? Because singing is an art form. I don't know.
I think it's weird, the whole ownership, because I've seen artists who encourage sharing of their work, and if you develop something based off of their work, they're fine with that, and because they believe in the natural what is that called, appropriation. They believe that that's a natural thing, that it's going to happen inevitably, and so they would rather be a part of their work being taken and almost treat it like I said anybody could take it, so it's like you can't steal it because I already said you could you could have it because it was already something I put out there, like what you guys just said. But then there's other artists who they don't do that, and so the interesting thing to me is there's either that extreme or the other way. The other extreme is, for some reason or another, and this is baffling to me, how like in Indian country we went from being able to tell each other apart by the way we dressed in our different types of clothing, which used to be just everyday clothing, and then it turned into like powwow regalia, and you could see the differences in everybody. But how it went from that to like an intertribal type of thing, and everybody was using everybody else's stuff, and you couldn't tell where anybody was from because it was so contemporary. Well, it went all the way to that, and now it's reverting back, And now it's like people are like, wait, those are only, these type of designs, and you shouldn't be doing those because you're not from that place. And it's like really confusing to me how we can go all the way one way and then try to turn around and come back. It's almost like you can't turn that around like once you went past that. But it's like a whole phenomenon, I feel like, happening. I see happening anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like we get, like you said, kind of got mixed up. We're mixed up in a way. But this is, I don't know. So where do we draw the line then on? Well, I guess it's per individual, right? Where they might want to draw the line. I think, for example, music can be copyrighted, right? Legally under the U.S. legal traditions. Music can be copyrighted.
The things that I think about is like what Aaron just said, is why would you put it out there if it's something so personal? Why would you put it out there and not expect it to be taken, especially the format that things are put out in the world today are usually like a picture. It's a picture format. You can easily copy it and easily transform it into whatever from that point.
Right.
So get why you would even picture it or photograph it, talking like an Indian, picture it and then send it out. I don't get why you would do that.
Duplicate it.
Yeah.
Like a facsimile.
Why would you even picture it?
Yeah.
Why would you even
go down to the school and make a ditto of it? Remember that ditto machines?
No. We're not that old, man.
Oh, no. Come on.
It was next to your laser disc.
Come on.
Okay, so I have some thoughts on this because
throw it out.
Salisha brings up good points. And while she was talking she said something that triggered me right before she talked about talking like a big
Settle
old
down,
Indian.
Don Jr.
Triggered. I'm triggered right now. Okay. So what I've also noticed is Native people have tried to now attach the culture of European art to Native art. Right. So this idea that like an individual's work should be treated in the same light as like, say, a painting from Picasso. Like no one's going to copy Picasso's painting. What they failed to realize is that typically a lot of Native art that we know of today, its foundation is in utilitarian objects. Right. Which gives it a whole different root.
Yeah.
Right? A painting that's put on the wall, like a Picasso, is purely aesthetic. Yeah. There's no utilitarian function. Right. So when it comes to designs and it comes to things, we're not talking about designs that are used for aesthetics necessarily. I mean, they are, but they're attached to armbands and cuffs and war bonnets and they're garments. These are. Yeah. So I think that, and I don't know exactly like how it changes it, but it seemed it should change it, because if Salisha puts out a design, a badass geometrical design, and then somebody else is inspired by that design and borrows some of the concepts of it. Yeah. Where is it wrong and where is it right? Now, I think if somebody takes Salisha's geometric design and reuses it and changes the colors, culturally, in the Crow way anyway, I would say they would have to buy that design to do that. They would have to say, I'll give you this, and then Salisha would say, you give me these. It's always the same four things, right? But and then then they have that, you know what I mean? Because it's purely social. Like dancing for the Crows, like these designs, it's purely social now. There is a ceremony called the daytime dance. Yeah. But again, those garments, those are all, other than the bustles, they're all kind of like aesthetic. Yeah. So I'm wondering if the argument that is coming from the art world, and I don't know the argument necessarily that by stealing of designs and ideas, is that coming from people who are culturally competent people?
Well, and that's the thing that's interesting to me, is because it's like all ages, right? You have all ages like within that skill set, and there's like younger people who were raised by grandparents or whatever, and then they decide they're going to embark on whatever it is they're doing, but all of a sudden they want to use something that's from where they're from. And then all of a sudden, if somebody else uses those things, because that's how it was, like all through the 90s and all through whenever, all of a sudden everybody cares. And it's like, well, wait a minute, like, why do we just now care about that? It's also the same with like the colors, like I would say, like in the context of the way like crows do things, it's a lot of it's very intact. Like the colors of certain things mean something, but I think that's true for a lot of tribes. Like colors mean certain things. And so, but I don't think you can go as far as to say, hey, you have to get those colors from me, because there's only a limited amount of colors. Somebody's going to think of that color combination eventually.
Right.
That magenta belongs to me.
Yeah. Magenta against white. I came up with that. So no.
Now this makes me think of like of like Sundancing and stuff when crows they paint, you don't copy somebody's paint. It's not purely aesthetic, right? And if you wanted to use that paint, you pay for it, and then you have permission. But that's a whole different level of like cultural understanding. It's a different thing. It's a different genre. So it seems like a lot of these concepts of like, hey, you can't use this because of this is probably born from these younger people hearing older folks talk about deeply rooted ceremonial stuff. Where there is this idea that you can't use. So for this particular ceremony, this is his thing, and this is the stuff he uses, the colors he uses, and now you have younger people that are talking about like chicken dancing, and they're like saying you can't use an all white bustle, and it's like, who the hell says you can?
Yeah.
I mean, or like the round bustle, right? I've heard people say like, I've heard it from Salish people where they're like, it's only a flathead thing, or it's only and I'm like, no, it's not, and that doesn't make it less or worse. It's just this idea that we're all borrowing stuff. This is all borrowed,
right?
The Ponkas or the Omaha should probably be the ones complaining, saying they took this thing and it just went crazy. It went bonkers, and now everyone's claiming old style. It's just funny because you see it in all aspects of Indian country, where it's in the art world with designs, colors, color schemes, and concepts. Then you see it in dancing, like powwow dancing. You see this idea of like, see the way he dances, he just copies Sean Scabby Robe or something. It's like, well,
well, he's cool.
Well, and Indian people for sure in the Rocky Mountains and Plains believe in good fortune and luck. So when they see someone who's successful, they'll say, I should do like that. In fact, crows will bring that person over and say, hey, I want you to pray for my kids because my kid, we want him to do what you're doing. Like literally, like they'll ask you, like to the point where in the old days, they would even say, can they touch you? Like touch your shoulders, like the person they want to be like, or the person with good fortune, So this idea that somehow, I don't know, I think if you know what I mean? This is one of those things where if you know, like people knew when someone was inspired, let's use Sean again for an example, Sean Scabiru. Because chicken dancing took over, right?
He had that one move,
So, people knew Sean because Sean danced. Sean chicken danced for a while, right? It was like, you knew the guys. It was like Guy Fawkes and Sean, especially for like our region. And then you knew when somebody was inspired by those guys and then when somebody was copying those guys.
Right.
Like to the point where they had the same black outfit with like the yellow plumes and the white plumes, like it was like the same thing, So it's like, like deep down, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. You're right. I think
I feel like I'm wrong.
No. I mean, so this is where we're at. And I think you said it. I think you both said it, or touched on how where we've adopted this particular way. Some might say we have a colonized way of thinking about things where we're commodifying what we do and how we do it, and then it becomes ours and our ownership.
Okay. Dude, I'm like over this whole what's colonized and what's not colonized.
I had to throw it in there.
Dude, I hear it. I hear it all the time, and it's just like, it's goddamn anxiety attack trying to figure out if you're colonized and not colonized, and you're like losing it.
Well, and it's like, this is how you know how does that go? You want to know how I know you're colonized?
Yeah. You know how I know you're colonized?
You want to know I can't even say it fast. But how I know is when you see a ownership statement like the one with I was making fun of it the other day. The ownership statement of, what was that one? You are on Indian land. And I'm like, whoa, actually, we're like on animal land, or before that, whose land?
You're on deer land. This is hawk land.
I actually thought we didn't never own the land. Like, let's go back.
A guy will go crazy. A person will go crazy trying to figure out where they're drawing the lines and like what's colonized, what's not colonized, what's Indian, what's not Indian. Is Indian even appropriate? Are they appropriating what I know? Am I appropriating it from these people? Like, goddamn, I need a ribbon skirt and I gotta have a land acknowledgement. Like, oh shit, it's too much, man. It's like, just shut up for a second. Like, sit still.
We need to make an app.
We need an app with a flow chart.
We need a flow chart and a feasibility study done first.
Yeah.
Am I colonized? And it was
it's
Are you wearing one or two pieces of beadwork? Yes.
Yes.
Box B. Okay.
Do you feel like you're living in two worlds? No, it feels very much like one world to me.
Go to box A. Go to box A. Okay. In the one world, is there a teepee surrounding you?
Yeah.
No. Okay, go to box C.
Round or flat?
Dude, and all of this. So I think this
is it a turtle?
Are we on a turtle? Are we not on a turtle?
Yeah. Are you on a molten earth or a turtle?
Wait a second. Last I heard we were on a turtle. Are we not on a turtle anymore?
I think it was a turtle. I think it's still an island, but I'm not sure.
Are we on a turtle? Or is it a goose now? Is it a goose? No.
Is it a bird or is it mud?
Yeah, wait, how big is an island?
Did we come over the bridge or not?
Wait,
did we still come from?
Can you even have an island? Is it still an island if it's this big?
Is the earth an island?
Is it even possible to have a turtle be an island? Is that even a thing? Can that even happen?
What is the North Pole in this instance?
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry I triggered you there.
I need my smudge bowl.
Where's my rattle and my smudge bowl?
Somebody hand me a conch.
Oh my God. We need a feather.
Someone, God dang it! I need 4 traditional dancers. Nah, it's just too much, dude.
Okay, so this is what I was gonna say.
Okay. 4 or 7.
4. Yeah.
I think we should go 7. I think we gotta go 7.
This is what I was gonna say about it. All right, there's this instance. There's this instance, and I'm not gonna say the C word that rhymes with.
Dude, you can't say the C word either. You can't say that. Dude, because that means a whole different thing, dude.
Okay.
Like, you can't start a sentence with "Can I say the C word?" You're like, whoa.
It triggers me.
Whoa, dude.
I'm triggered, dude.
Whoa. We need 10 traditional dancers now.
Smishmortion.
Rhymes with smishmortion. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
This is good.
Dan, get it all out.
Freaking, dude, this freaking topic, because
I know it's huge though.
The people,
it's problematic.
Dude, the people who are talking
pound
about
your
ownership.
Fist. When you do that, pound your fist.
The people who are out there talking about ownership know nothing about it.
Okay.
I mean, that's a fact.
They're still making car payments.
Dude, I don't trust any Indian who comments on things. I don't trust any Indian who comments on anything. So if they felt compelled to comment on somebody's beadwork or someone's art piece, they're fired, dude. They're done. They're out of the team.
Off the island.
They're gone. No, dude.
You're off the island.
Like, these are the same people who write heated letters to the editor. So, this whole thing about Karens and all this stuff, dude, people who comment about this stuff are Karens. So quit. Even the people who are calling people Karens are Karens. That's like, I'm losing it. I'm freaking losing it.
You are. Okay, let me bring us back.
You called yourself a name.
You called yourself a Karen.
Yeah, I am. In this sense, I'm being a Karen. And actually, I have an aunt named Karen. And here's the most ironic part. Yeah. She was a cop.
Okay.
You
killed it. What do you mean? I mean,
I don't get it.
Okay. The whole Karen thing of like enforcing the rules and nagging people and all that.
Yeah.
The only Karen I really knew my whole life was a cop. So it's hard to defend that,
That was a total Mary Poppins moment.
That was a Mary Poppins
moment. I'm fired up because
I'm gonna fire you back.
This is not even. Dude, okay, go ahead. I'm gonna shut up now.
This is the deal. No. I want to throw this out there, and I think we already know the answer, but this is something that happened. So, apparently, an artist made some sketches of something that was considered by the tribal group to be sacred in a way.
Oh,
and then
can't be messing with that sacred stuff
because of artists, everybody needs to live and those kind of things. Sold the sketches to I don't know where, ended up in a museum or something, and then it became this issue where then the tribe is saying, well, we need those back because it's documenting something that is ours.
Are you talking about John Peppian?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about John. No.
Because I'll defend. Yeah.
This is not from around here. This is not.
Okay.
I think this was a pueblo.
This is in. Oh, okay.
One of the pueblos. Yeah, and it became this deal where that there's this thought, I guess, that whatever he sketched.
Well, where did he get the knowledge? Where did the person get the knowledge?
No. So the guy is, I guess, would have been deemed as knowledgeable of these ceremonial practices enough to that he could go and attend and be a part of it. It was just
does
that
he hold rights?
I have no idea. No idea.
I mean, we're very regional. We're a regional podcast for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Like I can speak for people in general, but I for sure can't speak for people in the Southwest because they kind of have a whole different system of like, they're strong in like sodality culture. They're strong in like rites and
in
rituals.
What? And ritual.
RITE.
RITE.
Right. I would have to pretend to know anything about them, and I don't. But I am acting under the assumption that if the art is an accurate reflection of the culture, then the artist.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, I don't think it is. But this is becoming problematic, where our own people are deeming things to be secretive, to a point where nobody gets to partake in that thing that's being held secret. And in a way, I guess one could say that, well, it's secret because it just can't be freely shared with anybody. There has to be some steps that you have to go through to understand the responsibility that's attached with that particular knowledge. And I kind of get that. I get that in a way that you can't just say, okay, here's something that's I guess super important to some ceremonial practice, and we're just gonna go let Joe Blow, take off with it.
For example, there's an artist up here in Montana. Are we allowed to say names or anything? I'm not saying whatever you want. Negative.
You can say whatever you want.
Well, like Jesse DeRozier, right, from Blackfeet. Okay. Young guy, very knowledgeable, culturally knowledgeable, involved in the culture. I bought a piece of art from him. I'm not Blackfeet.
Yeah.
It was a painting of a story about a guy named Scarface. And some people might deem that story to be so sacred that it can't be talked about.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like there's a comfort level that comes with cultural people who are involved in the culture, that he wanted art that reflected his identity.
Yeah.
So he painted this piece. And it's awesome, man. It's like this. And I bought it because of that. I said, I'd rather buy other tribes' art if it comes from an authentic place than buy something cheesy that comes from my own people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really respect that, because people are like, oh, do you believe in the Scarface story? Well, I don't not believe in it. You know what I mean? It's like it's the fact that the artist was culturally grounded, and that art is a reflection of him. Now that's different. I can only speak for like the Indian world. Like, I'm only dealing, like, in this sense, it's a native person. I'm buying art from the native person. I'm a native person. I've never sold art to a museum. I don't know what goes into that. There's times I have questioned intent with a lot of things, but again, that's acting under the assumption that I know that person's thinking, I know that person's knowledge, and also that I know that person's right. What do they have that gives them the license to do such things?
Right.
Now, that's not to say I'm not critical of certain artists out there that I know don't have the right to certain things and to say. Now, here's the difference. I'm not saying those people can't get the right to them.
Yeah.
I think the knowledge. Hey, I think I just answered my own question, or your question. Knowledge is for sure proprietary. It's for sure. We'll use the word secret. But everyone has access to those secrets and to that proprietary knowledge if they've gone through the right steps.
Right.
And then once that knowledge is given to that person, it's theirs to do with as they see appropriate, especially if they hold the right to that. For example, the argument about filming a Sundance or taking pictures of a ceremony, right?
Yeah.
People from the outside looking and they criticize.
Yeah.
Well, I was quickly educated years ago that the owner of that right the owner of that lodge or whatever it is, determines if those things can happen. Once you have the right, you can say whatever you want. You can say, no pictures. That's on you. There's a lot of independence in that, I think. There's a lot of sovereignty in that.
Yeah.
But if you know, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's getting away from the idea that I guess things are homogenous in a way.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you get the milk, it says homogenized.
Wait, I asked you before what this means. And you said the same joke.
Let's go back. Which episode? We'll go back. Was it?
Dude, it's
the same. Okay, it's the same. The assumption that things are the same across practices.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday I heard a crow elder guy, because yesterday was the winter solstice. Happy winter solstice, everybody.
Yeah.
And some of the traditional folks got together and had a little thing. And while we were standing there, the guy said that now he was talking to another person, but we all kind of like huddled around him,
Yeah.
And he said that, remember that your spiritual power could be a weasel and my spiritual power could be a weasel. But your rules and protocols for that weasel could be very different than mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess you're right that it's not homogenized.
Yeah. I think that's the assumption, right? Yeah, no, I think that can be some of the misconceptions of folks looking outside in, or even the folks inside who don't understand their own practices or are just learning. They think, okay, this is the way it is. I'm going to apply it to everything. So then they start pointing the fingers, say, well, you're doing this wrong because it's not like this person that I know that does it. You see that happen.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think when it's tough when we're in a time right now, like what you were just describing, because that elder would only make that moment secret intentionally. So the fact that you guys were all listening, it's like you have to show that initiative in order to gain those good teachings. Like you have to step up and show that initiative by yourself, and that's what allows you to obtain like that type of teaching. But what's interesting is like everybody is not fortunate enough to have that situation like ever, and so they start seeking anything that they could possibly get. And what's hard is when somebody thinks that one thing applies to all of Indian country. So if everybody else is doing it a different way, like everybody's incorrect and they're the only right one. And if you're just learning, it could be confusing, because that also would apply to knowledge that was like supposed to be I guess helpful in a way, like in a spiritual context. Like if you were doing something on a daily basis, like some sort of meditation or whatever. And and somebody would think that that's applies to everybody, but it doesn't, do you know?
What?
Well, it's like the criticize things. It's on the flip side, there's good things that happens. Like just because one tribe believes in one thing and this is like how you do it, there's like steps to how you do this one good thing. Sometimes that can get construed out like a generalization, like all the tribes do that one good thing, and they take those exact same steps. So somebody who's trying to learn their ways or whatever would be confused by that, especially if they don't have nothing to base it off of.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking of when you guys are both talking about this is how worked up natives can get when And a lot of times I think it's really pointless. But like, so when non-natives start doing things like building sweat houses or copying our ways, and some people can get kind of worked up over that and think, well, no, that's our way. You shouldn't be doing that. How does that fit into what we're just talking about? Because for the most part,
they do.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Why does it matter so much? It's not the same. It will never be the same as what we're doing. Our practices that are of our own. They're just taking bits and pieces of what they can pull off the internet or what so and so said. But there's people who are adamant and say, no, I'm going to protest to the end of my living days that you will not do this. It's you're culturally appropriating me.
I heard a guy say a long time, it was actually a lady, she said, those people who have time to complain and regulate other people's cultural doings are those who are not at home doing those things.
Yeah.
If you're busy doing the work, I mean, that's where your concern is. Your bandwidth is going to go towards this other thing.
Yeah.
So then that means when you're on your off time and you're not doing that, you're going to spend it with your kids, spend it with your family.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, you know what? Those guys are doing fake sweats at Mount Shasta. We got to get in the mystery machine and get down there, Like, it's like, whatever, dude. If they want to do a half-assed version of a sweat, whatever, man. It's not.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not even a thing. It's like.
Okay. Let me throw this twist in there then. So what about when say a company takes a design that is of a certain tribe and starts putting it on their products and starts monetizing and selling it? Is that the same or different? Should we just still not care and say, well, whatever?
I guess just give me an example.
Well, I don't know.
You would need a hard and fast example.
So, like, say a fashion designer who's obviously taken a design off of.
Are you talking about the elk teeth thing?
I could be. Not
just
specifically.
Say it, dude. Like,
no, I'm not. I'm not. I wasn't thinking of that specifically. I was thinking of. I think there's a picture of some famous fashion design. I don't know, Louis Vuitton. I don't know who it was, but they had
they kind of took a design, right, and made like their own little, and it was real similar to like a crow design, right?
Well, it might have been.
Was it like a geometrical thing?
Yeah, there was a couple different tribes that you could tell come from products from those groups. Yeah. So in that case, do we just say whatever? They're making.
I mean, well,
I don't know how much money they're making out of it. I know what can you do anyway.
What are we gonna do?
What do you do? What do you want to do, Salisha? What do we want to do?
I don't know. I think I think where that's concerned, I get so confused by all that. Like, I'm probably the benefit of the doubt person, because I think, okay, there's things that we have as Native people and all throughout Indian country that don't come from here, but we took it over and made it ours in our own way.
Right.
And so then there's some things that I kind of like wonder if people forgot where it came from. I'm not saying our stuff came from other people, but I don't know. I just think about like some of our resources and some of the things that we use, and so in that way, like I don't get like super furious, but I do think it's interesting where I think like the root of the madness comes from is, or the root of the anger is, like we have to fight so hard through history for everything. Like you do this blanket statement, we have to fight so hard for everything, and then all of a sudden, like the one little tiny things that we still have going for us, and now you get these designers that come in and take the one little thing that we have left and want to go profit off of it, but it was something that came from Native people. And so I can understand that general anger. And I also know like the different, like a couple of different examples, like the one that Aaron mentioned with the geometric. Like I think that's wrong. Like if you're taking a design, but then I get this is where I get confused. I'm like, okay, the woman is mad that the designer took her design, but she's a designer, but the designer took her design and then changed it, but it still looks like her design, but the design actually came from the woman's grandmother. But here's where I get confused: is the design, the woman was using it to profit off of that design anyway. So that's where I start getting lost, because I think when you throw in like money, I think it changes everything. Like to me, like that's it. It makes it not the whole thing with the rights and the knowledge. Like it don't. I feel like it takes away from that. It's when you start profiting monetarily off of something that was meant to. You originally had a different context to it. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Makes total sense.
Yeah,
I think once you put it out in that realm, you're also you're opening yourself up for those kinds of things. So again, like if that particular designer stayed within a certain circle, like those who know, because there's plenty of native designers that don't get their stuff taken by Louis Vuitton, but this particular one, that's the circle she's choosing to be in.
Yeah.
You know? So that's going to happen because the big dogs are going to come in and take what they want, you know? And like, does that mean it's right or wrong? I don't know, because I don't know that world. I don't know that. That's a whole different thing. You're not talking about some Indian ladies who are beating and they're saying, hey, you took now you're into like international fashion. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, holy smokes. I didn't mean to sound condescending, but you know what I meant? Like,
just two old Indian women fighting about beadwork. Yeah.
You know, I never, my mom she beaded, and my grandma, my dad's mom beaded, and I have a lot of relatives who bead, and I never hear them fighting about designs and stuff. I never hear
a long line of great beaters.
Yeah, it's in my blood.
Yeah.
It's in my blood. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not in my blood at all. I just don't. That's why I go back to this. It sounds stupid, but I keep saying it. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe there's just some things that are so insular. Like, you know, when something smells good in Stinkville, you know what I mean?
What the heck? No, okay. That was weird. Yeah.
It smells bad.
Well, I'm on to it. Yeah. So this has always been my kind of take home message on everything, you know, like, and it's, you said it. And I think a lot of people hold that same belief, you know, if you're facing away from your people, you know, pointing a finger at everything, I mean, you're probably not doing the work of your people. There's so many things that are going on in our own communities that we need people to pay attention to. But if we're going to be concerned, like you said, about some folks out in Mount Shasta or some company and I don't know where trying to profit off of us.
Yeah.
We got more going on. We got way more going on that needs to be addressed.
I mean, people need homes.
Well, yeah.
People need homes. Like, there's a housing shortage in the majority of the Rocky Mountains, right? For Native people.
Yeah.
There's families who are literally struggling to get by. We're not talking about like this, my kid can't get Jordans, so he's got to buy Steph Curry's. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. Like, it's like there are families that are having a hard time. So you think those families are sitting there going, man, I don't like that they use Chief Wahoo on the Cleveland Indians. No, they don't care, man.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Now maybe it's systemic, and that means that the Cleveland Indians should have been compensating Native people for the use of a character. I don't know what any of it is. All I know is that I've kind of stepped away from that world of like that activist kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Because I think the fight is somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
People confuse noise with production, you know, for being productive.
Or let's just not talk about like the major things. I feel like we always skirt around the major things and then we focus on these other things to appease our frustration. But like the fact that everybody's kids can't even hardly get enrolled anymore.
Right. Yeah, blood quantum.
Then
language
and then that's a
loss.
whole different
Language loss. We got all those things that we should be worried about. I think anyway. Yeah, not hoarding, trying to build these walls to.
So I don't know. Where do you think cultural committees fit in all this?
Yeah, this is a strange one, and I think culture committees are important, but I think it's really important that you have culture committees comprised of people who are practitioners, and they're aware of the changing trends and the changing needs of the next generation. I mean, if they're not, then they're more in the way than anything.
And see, we've appropriated a term to and a title. We've appropriated it in Indian country. It actually belongs to the Mormons.
What is it?
Elder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, originally, the reason why this whole, I mean, of course, tribal people believe in the respect of people. But if you want to go back to real traditional people, they always say, feed your kids first, feed your kids, they'll feed their kids. So like nowadays we say the elders first. Well, that was born out of a reaction to culture loss, but they've somehow adopted this like, well, I'm a tribal elder. There's a difference between being a tribal elder and being a person of your community,
Yeah.
And I think these cultural committees need to be comprised of members, like you said, who are practitioners, which was the original intent of gaining knowledge from elders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of instances in communities where you got people who are in their 70s and 80s, but really the knowledgeable people are those who are in their 50s and early 60s,
Right.
Like, it's kind of funny. It's just got to kind of take a history class to understand why that is the way it is. And but it's very true. I don't even know. I just know that cultural committee thing. I personally think it's got major flaws. But then I also don't know, what else would you do?
Right.
What's the alternative?
That's the next thing, and I think that should be the next topic of discussion, or at least another future episode. Is what was the solution then, and how can we make some change in that way? I don't know if we will, like us here on this episode.
Thing, though. But today we didn't. I don't think we accomplished anything today.
I know. I was trying to talk about secret knowledge, and I wanted to kind of get deep in on it. But
we got into the art world, which to me, the art world is like, it's a sub genre. It's like a subculture, and they seem to have their own rules, because I've seen artists take designs from shields. I've seen them take designs from things in that realm. It's totally okay to do that. And I would say no, because someone who's around that kind of stuff, those objects, knows it's like, well, those things hold power. So I think it's a different, maybe that's just the thing. It's like, it's not,
I don't know. We talked about this, I think, and it was like, well, I mean, if you do replicate those kind of things, you're not replicating the power in it. It's just the image of it. I don't know. We're going to spin off. We're going to spin off. Spin off. Okay.
That's a tough one, man.
It is.
It's a tough one.
Because
maybe the power is the image.
Maybe it is, but it's not being used in the same way. Nor is it was acquired in the same manner.
What?
See?
Yeah. Okay. All right. We gotta save that. We gotta save that for a different.
That is a good one. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think
because now I think it's killed everything I made for the whole show just now. Because now I know what I know.
Yeah, you just
all I know is
40 minutes of what you just said.
It's confusing. Being an Indian is confusing. That's why I think it comes down to being like, I'm just gonna do what I do with my family, and like with and there's a very different thing in putting things in practice and then talking about things.
Right.
And I'll admit, I really enjoy things that are deeply like cultural, like kind of what most people would deem as secret knowledge. That's some of my most favorite conversations.
Yeah.
Now, knowing that though, I typically am only visiting with those kinds of people that do that stuff. So rarely am I visiting about those things with people who aren't. For one, I would always have to be explaining the foundation of that thing.
Right. Yeah.
So like if I went to a traditional person at Blackfeet or Flathead or Fort Belknap or Fort Washington, I said, oh, that story was a good story and I'll buy it from you. I said that to a traditional person, even if they didn't quite like the term purchasing, they knew what I mean though.
Right.
Like they know, they're like, but if I was saying I'm going to buy that from you to someone who's not even in those circles, they'll be like, they always argue to be like, oh, well, it's not for sale. Or like it's, you can't give money. Or like I'll even have $20. I'll be like, here, I'll buy that from you. And they'll be like, money? You're going to use money for cultural things? And it's like, oh, shut up, dude. and even people listening to this are going to criticize that statement.
Well, yeah.
But But they those who know, right?
Right.
Those who know.
And I think getting closer to I guess those that are interested to understand what that means and how it operates, especially and I can see now there's differences in a lot of things, like the understanding of songs and how songs are I don't know, guarded or protected or shared or not shared, how art is shared and not shared and duplicated, and how stories are shared or not shared. All that there seems like there's a lot of differences in how all those operate. And
venue has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, good point. Venue, but I think overall, I think the most important message is, man, we got a lot of things to worry about that are internal. The external stuff, yeah, I mean, some of it concerns me and I get upset a little bit, but I mean, I should be, like you said, I should be focusing that energy on something that that is of value internally. Like what are we missing? How can we put that missing thing back into our communities? Not really care about a whole lot about, like you said, the appropriation outside of our communities.
Well, it's like levels. It reminds me of like a video game or something. Like if you do the one thing, everything will set on that one thing. So if you focus on the things that are important, because when it comes to it, it's just like what was said before is a lot. Most, like I would say like 90% or more of what were our efforts and our cultural pursuits is not. It's not for us anymore, especially if we have kids, it's ends up being for kids. And if you are doing the one thing, then all the sub things will follow. They'll fall into place.
Right.
Yeah.
Plant the seed.
Exactly.
Plant the seed. Okay. Concluding thoughts.
The children are our future.
The 7 generations of children to come.
The children
we have to leave. Feed them well and send them on their way.
Let them lead the way.
Lead the way.
Lead the way.
We are the ones. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day.
So just
let's start giving. Yeah.
You guys are singing 2 songs.
Oh, is it?
Well, they should be the same. They should be the same.
You guys are like a cappella.
They're like from the same time. Those songs.
Yeah. One appropriated the other, I think.
One's appropriating. One is completely from the colonizer.
Mismatch.
Smells like
smells like Stinkville in here.
Something
smells like Stinkville, Aaron.
Good. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. You ever watch Saturday Night Live with Christopher Walken?
No.
Christopher Walken Theater. Yeah, no, I never did. No.
Oh well, there's a skit where he says something smells good in Stinkville. Give me the cat's ass. That's what he says.
Okay.
So look it up, YouTube it, all our listeners.
All right.
Look it up.
Okay.
Hey,
All
and
right. Yeah.
So before we leave, though, I want to say that again. This is my reminder that most of what we're talking about, we don't. It's like the listener has to remember this podcast is kind of like a think tank.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is not gospel.
Correct.
So if you have a differing opinion or a differing point, that's cool. It's whatever. We're just blabbing and recording it.
Yeah, I think that's important. And to get back the value that we it's okay to disagree. It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be corrected. Yeah, that's important. I would hope, we still haven't had it happen yet, someone to call up and or write us a heated email to say baloney. I think
you don't even have to be Indian to listen to this, and I think we're talking a lot about insular stuff, but I think that's kind of what genuine white folk who want to know. That's what they want to know. They want to. They just want to be. It's like they don't want to always get the version that's catered to them.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
the pamphlet, the tourist pamphlet.
Yeah, they don't want that. The elevator speech or anything. I think they want to know, and so. Yeah. Because I always think of my buddy, my old and high school buddy that listens all the time.
Yeah,
his name's Jim. Peter. He's the one. Peter. No, Peter. I said he was a preacher or something.
Pastor.
I was wrong.
You said he's a pastor.
I said he was a pastor. He told me he's actually I just do a lot of work with my church, and he has done some similar type of work. So, I apologize to Peter.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Peter.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got you all wrong. That's all right.
Happy
I mean, that's
winter solstice. Hey, before we go, what would the Salish do for the winter solstice? What was the big to do back in the Diné?
It was it's of course it's the marker of the new year in a way, and a lot of times the winter dances would start around this time. That was the deal, because you got to start your year out right. So that was it.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know what other tribes do or don't do. Do Sundance tribes mark the what's the marker? Well, this is another conversation, man. We're gonna spin off another hour.
All right. Next week. Okay. We got a couple. This should have been a winter solstice podcast,
Indigenize the winter solstice.
Decolonize land back.
And non-colonized.
Decolonize the winter solstice.
Resification.
Land back. We're gonna land back.
It's the dog's land. Hey.
It's the dog's land first. Yeah, the dogs were here first.
It's dog land. Hashtag
Coyote.
dog land.
Coyote and the turtle and the
coyote.
And the deer.
The coyote. The Turtle Island took Coyote to the Sadie Hawkins dance.
With mud. There was mud.
And from that, a union was formed, an unbreakable union. And this union.
The end.
Hashtag land back.
You're going off, man.
I know. We need one of those. We need a Facebook Live.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this episode. And if you want to learn more about what we're up to, go ahead and search Tribal Research Specialists in Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, and check out our other sites. And if you want to contribute to the show, go ahead and look us up on Patreon. We would appreciate your donation.